Floor. When people say family is supposed to be your safe place, I used to believe them. I thought no matter how cruel the world outside became, Floor, the walls of my parents' home would shield me. I thought my bloodline was my anchor, not my storm. But betrayal, I learned. Floor does not always come with warning signs. It often comes with a familiar smile, a gentle pat on the back, and the sound of your own name being stolen from your lips. Floor. I've always had a love for food, not just eating but the kind of slow, soulful cooking that turns flour, spices, and fire into stories you can tasty. When I was little, I'd stay in the kitchen while my friends ran around playing outside. The sizzling oil was my background music, the aroma of sauteed onions my lullaby. Floor, my dream wasn't fame or wealth. It was to open a small, honest food business, something of my own. But my family never saw it that way. To my parents, Floor, dreams were ranked and weighed. And somehow mine always fell short compared to my sister Layla's. She was the golden child, the prettier one, the one they bragged about. Floor, the one who always had the stage while I washed the dishes in the back. Still, I didn't complain. I worked quietly, saving scraps of money, sketching logos on notebook paper, testing recipes late at night when no one was awake. I believed that someday I'd step into the light on my own terms. Then one ordinary afternoon everything changed. It started with a phone call. A friend I hadn't spoken to in months rang me up, her voice full of excitement. "Congratulations," she said. "For what?" I laughed nervously. "Floor, don't play dumb. I saw your meal service online. It looks amazing. I even ordered lunch from you yesterday." My stomach dropped. "My meal service," she chuckled, thinking I was joking. "Yeah. It's called Flavors by My Name. The packaging even has your signature on it." I froze, the air in my lungs turning to ice. "Floor, I didn't start any business. I didn't launch anything online. And yet someone had." That night, I searched for it myself. And there it was, bold, polished, and brazen. "Floor, a whole website, Instagram page, even flyers circulating in the city. My name, my face, my so-called brand. A smiling photo of me that had been cropped from a family picture, slapped on top of dishes I had never cooked. I felt my hands tremble against the keyboard. Who would do this? Who would dare? The answer came sooner than I expected. Floor. From the living room I heard laughter. My sister's laugh, that loud, self-satisfied trill that always meant she was in the center of attention. I crept closer, my chest burning. Floor. And there they were, my parents, sitting proudly, watching Layla scroll through her phone, showing them orders and comments under my stolen name. "Floor, look at how many likes we got today," she bragged, tossing her hair. "You're amazing," my father beamed. "Floor. Our daughter is finally showing the world her talent." My mother added softly, "See, this is what success looks like. I knew you would make us proud." I wanted to scream. Her talent, her success, nothing in that business was hers. The recipes weren't hers. The branding wasn't hers. The name, my name, wasn't hers. Floor. She hadn't lifted a single finger, and yet there she was, bathing in the applause I had longed for my entire life. When I finally confronted them, my voice cracked. "Why is my name on this business? Why is Layla pretending to be me?" The room went silent, then my father scoffed as if I'd said something ridiculous. "Don't be dramatic. You should be happy your sister is doing something successful." "But it's under my name?" I cried. "That's identity theft! It's fraud!" Layla rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting. No one even knew you wanted to do this. I'm giving your name recognition. It's a compliment. A compliment." That word stabbed deeper than any insult. Floor. My parents exchanged glances, the kind of silent agreement they'd made my entire life whenever it came to choosing sides, and once again they chose her. "You're jealous," my mother whispered. "Be proud instead of bitter. Family means sharing, sharing." If betrayal could laugh, it would sound exactly like that word. Floor. I stormed into my room, shutting the door before the tears escaped. I pressed my palms against my face, shaking with a mix of rage and heartbreak. Floor. It wasn't just about the stolen business. It was about years of being overlooked, silenced, dismissed. Floor. It was about watching the little flame of my dream be stolen and carried away by the very people who should have protected it. For days after, I lived in a fog. Floor. Orders kept rolling in under my name, and the praise kept falling on Layla. People in the community started congratulating my parents on me success. Strangers tagged me online. Floor. Saying how inspired they were by my recipes. And every time it felt like I was disappearing further, like a ghost watching someone else live the life I had built in my heart. But ghosts, I realized, don't stay silent forever. Something inside me hardened. If Layla wanted to wear my name like a crown, let her. If my parents wanted to hold her up like a star, let them. I wouldn't stop them, not yet. Because storms don't announce themselves before they break. They gather strength quietly, Floor, until the lightning splits the sky. And I was done being quiet. This was only the beginning. If chapter 1 of my life had been stolen without my consent, Floor, chapter 2 was me being forced to sit front row and watch my sister perform it on stage. Layla's fake business wasn't just a weekend hustle anymore. Within weeks, Floor, it grew into a spectacle. Slick posts on social media, photo shoots with plated meals she didn't cook. Floor. Glowing comments from people who had no idea they were being served microwave takeout food from the nearest cheap diner. I watched it unfold like a slow poison dripping into my veins. The first time I saw her boast in public, it was at a family gathering. Relatives swarmed around her like bees to honey, showering her with admiration. "Oh, Layla! Floor, you're such a talented cook. You've got your sister's name, but you've surpassed her, my dear. This is what success looks like." Layla just smiled, Floor basking in it all while I stood in the corner like a shadow. Nobody asked me how I felt. Nobody even thought to. And the cruelest part, my parents encouraged every lie. At dinner, Floor, my father would say things like, "Look at your sister. She has drive. She's not afraid to put herself out there. You could learn something from her." From her, Floor, from the person who stole my dream, my identity, my work. Every word carved at me like a blade. But what struck deeper than their words was their deception. Floor, Layla couldn't cook to save her life. She barely knew how to boil water without burning the pot. Yet people ordered from her daily, praising dishes that were nothing but reheated restaurant food stuffed into boxes with printed labels carrying my name. The lies spread fast, too fast. Soon, she was featured in a local blog. The headline read, "Young talent, my namey redefines home-cooked meals." When I saw that headline, my chest caved in. Flo, it was me, but it wasn't. My face, my name, my dream, but none of it belonged to me anymore. I had become a stranger in my own story. I tried confronting them again. One night, I burst into the living room, where my parents and Layla were reviewing orders. The glow from her phone illuminated her smug face. "This has to stop," I said firmly. "Floor." My mother sighed, not even looking up. "Not this again." "It's my name," I snapped. "My recipes, my dream, you can't just hand it to her like a toy." Layla smirked, Floor, her eyes cold. "What dream? You never did anything with it. You were too scared, too small." "Floor, I just finished what you couldn't start." Those words hit me harder than any slap could. My father chimed in, his tone sharp. "Enough. Stop being ungrateful. Your sister is bringing pride to this family. Instead of dragging her down, support her. Lord, be happy we finally have someone successful." I wanted to scream until my throat ripped open, but instead, I went quiet, because I realized something. Floor, nothing I said would change them. To my parents, Layla was the rising sun, and I was just the shadow cast beneath her light. But shadows can stretch further than sunlight. Floor. The breaking point came when Layla applied to the city's annual food expo, the largest, most prestigious culinary showcase in the region. The kind of event where investors, chefs, Floor, critics, and inspectors gathered. Winning there meant real contracts, real recognition, real fame, and she applied using my name. I found the form on the table one morning, Floor still damp with ink. The signature line read my name, but the handwriting was hers, sloppy, careless, and crooked. My parents hovered over it proudly. Floor, talking about the opportunities it would bring. "She'll finally be recognized," my mother said. "She?" I asked quietly, trembling. "Or me?" They ignored me. That night, Floor, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my fists clenching under the blanket. Rage surged through me, but beneath it, a strange calm began to take root. Because finally, I saw the truth. They were digging their own graves. The expo wasn't just another fake delivery service where Layla could hide behind store-bought food. It was the real stage. There, under scrutiny, Floor, she would have to prove herself. And I knew she couldn't. I didn't need to fight her. I didn't need to scream or beg or tear down her postures. All I had to do was wait. The weeks leading up to the expo were torture. Layla bragged endlessly online, posting countdowns and flashy graphics. She even hosted tasting sessions at home, where she served prepackaged meals on fancy plates while my parents clapped like trained seals. Imagine the investors lining up. My father said one evening, "She'll be a star." My mother whispered, as if in prayer. And me, I sat silently, letting them think I was broken, defeated, envious. Flo, letting them believe they had crushed me once and for all. But inside, I was sharpening every wound into a blade. I kept screenshots. I saved receipts. I documented every post, Floor, every stolen recipe, every false claim. I built a quiet fortress of proof stone by stone, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash it. And when that moment came, Floor, it wouldn't just expose Layla. It would expose them all. One evening, while Layla flaunted her follower count, she caught me staring. "What?" she sneered. "Still jealous?" I smiled faintly, a smile she didn't understand. No, I whispered. Just waiting. Because deep down I knew lies taste sweet in the beginning, Fleur, but the aftertaste is always bitter, and soon Layla and my parents would have to swallow every single one. The morning the Expo inspector arrived, Fleur, the air in our house felt different, thicker, heavier, as if the walls themselves knew a storm was about to break. Layla had been parading around the kitchen since dawn, Fleur pretending to be busy arranging pots and pans she didn't know how to use. She wore an apron too clean to have seen a drop of oil, Fleur, her hair styled as if she were about to shoot a commercial rather than cook a single meal. My parents fluttered around her like anxious stagehands. My mother kept muttering, Fleur, remember to smile, just smile, while my father rehearsed answers to imaginary questions. And me, I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, heart pounding, not from fear, Fleur, but from the anticipation of watching their little theater collapse. The inspector arrived at noon sharp. He was a tall man in a navy suit, Fleur carrying a clipboard and an air of no-nonsense authority. His eyes scanned everything, the counters, the so-called ingredients, the neatly printed menus lying on the table. "Well, good afternoon," he said briskly. "Fleur, I'm here to evaluate flavors by my name for entry into the annual food expo." The hearing my name roll off his tongue while Layla smiled like it belonged to her nearly made me choke. She extended her hand, voice dripping with fake warmth. "Welcome, I'm the founder." The inspector raised an eyebrow. "You're my name." For a split second, Layla faltered. Her smile twitched, but she recovered quickly. "Yes, of course, that's me." I bit my tongue to keep from laughing. The evaluation began. First, Fleur, he checked licenses. Layla handed over a folder stuffed with papers. Half were printed from Google templates, the other half scribbled with numbers that didn't add up. Fleur. The inspector flipped through them silently, his expression unreadable. Then came the kitchen inspection. He peered into the refrigerator, Fleur, where plastic containers of takeout food sat stacked, their restaurant stickers peeled, but faint outlines still visible. He lifted a lid, sniffed, and frowned. "Fleur, these don't appear freshly prepared," he said flatly. Layla rushed forward, her voice sticky sweet. "Oh, those are just samples!" "Fleur, the real food is prepared fresh when ordered." My parents nodded furiously, chiming in with rehearsed lines. Yes, she works so hard, so talented." The inspector didn't respond. He just scribbled something on his clipboard. I saw sweat beading on Layla's forehead. Then came the real test. "Fleur, A's part of verification?" The inspector said, "I'll need to see you cook one of your signature dishes. Right here. Right now." The silence that followed was deafening. Fleur, Layla's face went pale. "Right now?" "Yes," he replied firmly. "Authenticity is crucial. Fleur, we need to confirm the food represents your claimed skills." I swear I felt the ground tremble with the weight of her panic. She glanced at my mother, who gave her a desperate nod. "Fleur." My father whispered something like, "Just make something simple." Layla's hands shook as she picked up a pan, dropping it with a clang. She fumbled with the stove, struggling to even turn the knob. The inspector watched, expression growing sharper by the second. "Your signature dish," he reminded, his voice slicing the air. What happened next was almost too painful and too satisfying to watch. Layla cracked eggs into the pan, shells and all. Fleur. Oil splattered everywhere as she dumped random spices without thought. Within minutes, the kitchen filled with the acrid smell of burnt food. The inspector coughed, stepping back. "Fleur, this is your signature dish." Her eyes darted around wildly.
"Yes, it's rustic style!"
I couldn't hold it anymore. A laugh slipped past my lips, sharp and bitter. Fleur, all heads turned toward me. The inspector's eyes narrowed. "And you are?" Finally, the moment I had been waiting for. I straightened, my voice steady. "I'm my name. The real my name. The person whose name has been plastered on this business without permission." The room froze. My parents' faces drained of color. Layla stammered, "Fleur, she's lying, she's jealous." But the inspector held up a hand. "No, is this true?" he asked me. I stepped forward, Fleur placing a thick folder of documents onto the counter. The screenshots, the receipts, the evidence I had quietly collected for weeks. Every recipe, every photo, Fleur, every word you've seen associated with this so-called business, it's fake. She's been passing off store-bought food as her own under my name. I have proof. The inspector flipped through the pages, his jaw tightening. He looked back at Layla, whose face had crumbled into sheer terror. "This," he said coldly, "fraud." My parents began pleading, their voices high and desperate. "She's just young. She made a mistake. Please don't ruin her future. It was just a misunderstanding. Family business, Fleur, that's all." But the inspector didn't waver. He closed the folder and said firmly, The Expo has zero tolerance for false representation. Not only is this application rejected, but a report will be filed. She is barred from all future expos. Layla let out a strangled sob, sinking into a chair. Floor. My mother clutched her head. My father muttered curses under his breath. And me. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Justice. Not revenge yet, but the first taste of it. Floor. Because for the first time someone outside our family saw the truth. For the first time, Layla couldn't hide behind her charm or my parents' favoritism. Floor. For the first time she was exposed. And this was only the beginning. After the inspector walked out, floor, silence fell over the house. A silence so heavy it felt like it could crush the walls. Layla sat slumped at the table, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Flo, the smell of her burnt signature dish, still hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. My father paced back and forth, muttering curses under his breath. Floor. My mother tried to console Layla, whispering that things would somehow be fine, though her trembling voice betrayed her doubt. For the first time in my life, Floor. I wasn't the quiet one in the corner. I wasn't the shadow. I was the storm that had arrived. I stepped forward, my voice steady, cutting through the suffocating silence. Floor, you stole my name. You stole my dream. And you thought I'd stay silent forever. Well, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means waiting, Floor, and I've been waiting for this exact moment. Layla looked up at me, her face twisted with rage and shame. You ruined me, she spat. Floor, you wanted me to fail? No, I interrupted coldly. You ruined yourself. I just let the truth walk through the door. My father turned on me then, his face red. Floor, how dare you humiliate your family like this? You think the world will respect you for tearing us down? I laughed bitterly. Respect? Floor, the world never even knew me because of you. You erased me before I could even try. Their silence told me everything. They weren't sorry. They were only sorry they got caught. Floor. And that was the moment I stopped hoping for an apology. In the days that followed, the fallout was brutal. The inspector's report spread quickly. The Expo blacklisted Layla's name, and word traveled through the culinary community like wildfire. Local blogs that once praised her published harsh corrections exposing her fraud. Orders dried up overnight. Neighbors whispered, relatives stopped calling. The glow that once followed my sister dimmed into humiliation. My parents tried to shield her, but even they couldn't stop the storm they had helped create. For years they had pushed her onto a pedestal built on lies. Now, that pedestal was nothing but rubble. As for me, Floor, I could have gloated. I could have rubbed salt in their wounds every day, reminding them of their betrayal. But I didn't, Floor, because the sweetest revenge isn't shouting, I told you so. It's living so well that your enemies choke on their own regret. Floor. So while Layla sulked in her room and my parents scrambled to salvage their pride, I quietly began building what I had always wanted. My real business? I registered it legally, Floor, under my own name this time. I designed everything myself, the logo, the website, the packaging. I spent nights testing recipes not for validation but for passion. Every dish carried a piece of my story, every spice a whisper of resilience. At first, it was small. A handful of orders from friends, a few strangers who stumbled across my page. But unlike Layla's fake empire, mine grew slowly, steadily, honestly. And with every order, I felt myself returning, piece by piece, flame by flame. Months later, I stood at a small stall at a local food fair. My parents didn't come. Layla didn't dare show her face. But I didn't need them. Because I had something far greater. Customers lined up not because of lies or stolen names, but because the food spoke for itself. Real flavors, real effort, real me. One customer took a bite of my dish and smiled. Floor, this, she said, tastes like it was made with love. And I felt tears sting my eyes. Because for the first time someone was tasting me. Not a faux aid, not a fraud. Me, Floor. Of course, my family still lived under the same roof of bitterness. My parents rarely looked me in the eye anymore, and when they did, Floor, it was with a strange mix of shame and resentment. Layla avoided me completely, her once sharp tongue dulled into silence. But I didn't need their approval anymore, Floor. The girl who once begged to be seen, to be loved, to be chosen, she was gone. In her place stood a woman who no longer needed validation from the people who betrayed her. And that, Floor, I realized, was the real revenge. Not the inspector's report, not Layla's humiliation, not even their whispers of regret, Floor. The real revenge was knowing I had survived their betrayal and turned it into fuel. The real revenge was building my dream from the ashes they tried to burn. Floor, the real revenge was smiling at my own reflection, knowing I finally belonged to myself. One evening as I locked up my little kitchen after a long day of orders, Floor, I caught sight of my reflection in the glass door. For years I had seen only a ghost. Faded, overlooked, erased, but now I saw a fighter. I saw a dreamer. Floor, I saw someone who had been betrayed but had risen higher because of it, and I whispered to that reflection, with a smile that tasted sweeter than any dessert. Floor, they thought they could take everything from me, but all they did was set me free.